Hi, I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P and, well, I guess I should address this, but I'm not in my usual room. You see, what happened is... And I got this room as a token of gratitude. Okay, for today's review, have you ever seen a movie that is incredibly annoying? Like, there are bad movies, but then they cross a line to the point that they are just unexplainable. Well, I got two of those films. One of them is Cat in the Hat. Oh, we're going to get to that eventually. But for today's review, we're going to be watching Monkeybone. Now, I am going to be stretching this one a little bit, seeing that this isn't actually based on any cartoon, it's not really animated, but it is based on a graphic novel as I hear. I say as I hear because I've never actually seen it. And I've been to comic conventions, libraries, and bookstores and never found a copy. Either the author scrapped this off in hopes of never associating to this movie, or... yeah, that about makes sense. Well, our movie begins with a screening of a pilot to an animated series that looks too raunchy for Comedy Central and too immature for Fox. So, is it Adult Swim? Then we meet the man behind the cartoon, Stu Miley, played by Brendan Fraser. S. Miley. You know, get it? As in R. Crumb. Actually, this character is a direct doppelganger to Crumb. A cartoonist who's against merchandising and yet constantly gets caught up in it. Here, it's never cleared out how he's sent a crapload of toys, approve of a pilot, and has an agent. You know, these things don't just appear on your doorstep. So anyways, Stu's also planning on proposing to his girlfriend, a sleep therapist who's responsible for helping Stu stop having nightmares by making comics, which is why we have the character representing his Eid, Monkeybone. So here's the process to how all your favorite cartoon characters are made, kids. Pikachu, Mickey Mouse, SpongeBob, Homer Simpson. At the root of it all, it's your nightmares. So before you ask yourself, isn't there supposed to be a stop-motion monkey in this film? Stu gets caught up in a car crash caused by a giant inflatable monkey bone. Cause as we all know, merchandising is the devil. So now Stu's been knocked into a coma and sent to... God knows what. I'm gonna try to explain my best what this world is, so bear with me, folks. So, it's a haven of his nightmares, or creatures who watch nightmares from Stu's nightmares. You know, it's never really explained if it's every person's psyche, or if it's one person's psyche, or if it's Stu's psyche. You know what? Screw it. It's Cool World. That's really what it is at the root of it all. And at the center of this hellish town is Stu's biggest misanthropy, Monkeybone. Voiced by... what? John Turturro's in this movie and he's voicing Monkeybone?
Time for a little singing, a little dancing, and of course some good-natured bashing of my very own creator, Mr. Stupid Mopey. Hey, guys!
No. No. You know what? This is so confusing to me that I'm gonna play clips of John Turturro talking in other movies, and then Monkeybone, and see if you can make the connection.
I see you roll your way into the semis. Dios mío, ma.
Hey, baby, I love your ways.
This is my uniform. This is how I serve the common man.
Sidekicks Union, me, Tonto, Robin the Boy Wonder, Chewbacca.
You got anything? Because I haven't. While Stu is in his coma, he has 3 months before his sister Kimmy pulls the plug on him. And that's all she's really there for. She never shows up at the end and just disappears. I would have appreciated if she were represented part of what keeps Stu to have psychological baggage, since we are talking about R. Crumb here. But then again, when you're comparing it to R. Crumb's family, a broken sink is more functional. So get this. The dream of nightmares is coupled with a world of death. And Death himself, or I mean herself, as Whoopi Goldberg, decides if you live or die. This is explained by her brother Hypnos, god of nightmares, who wants Stu and Monkeybone to sneak into her domain and steal past to get him back into the real world. You get all that because I'm not going back. Here's an interesting fact. Hypnos is played by Buggin' Out from Do the Right Thing. With that said, it is incredibly ironic that John Turturro's character is working for him. So Stu gets to steal a pass, but wouldn't you know, Monkeybone's a dirty cheat and uses the pass to get himself into his body. You know, Stu, for a guy who created this character, you figured you'd know him a little better. Whatever, so Stu wakes up from the coma minutes away from getting the plug pulled, and now is working with Hypnos, again bugging out from the boss. I still can't get over that. To get Stu's girlfriend's potion that induces nightmares and plans on using it for a toy. that can only be described in this clip. The next few minutes of this review are going to be me breezing right through this so I can get the heck out of here. Rose McGowan helps Stu break into Death's palace to get a body and let his girlfriend know that at least he loves her. You know there are actresses in Hollywood that actually look really good when they're kinky? Rose McGowan isn't one of them. He gets into the body of organ donor Corky Romano, doing his best Jim Carrey impersonation. They fight, Monkeybone's back in Stu's head, which is really more annoying because you know he's a figment of his imagination, so he'd have to be in his head to be... Whatever. Stu gets his body back and his agent's running around naked with purple paint on his face. I can relate to him. Plain and simple, Monkeybone's a mess. Plots aren't resolved the right way and characters are hastily put on screen with little time to understand what they're all about. You see John Turturro's monkey doll for a good 20 minutes before dropping it to Brendan Fraser hamming it up more than he did in George of the Jungle. That you really don't know whether this is trying to be Cool World or if it's trying to be The Mask. But what pains me the most, the thing at the root of it all that annoys me the most, is the fact that I kinda like this movie. For starters, its animated effects are so good that it gives you everything. Stop motion, traditionally drawn, and computer animation is placed wonderfully in this film. It's a real shame that you see films with so much potential that gets lost with a really bad script. And at times, this film is a clever send-up to lowbrow comics, like the ones art from Daniel Clowes write. And speaking of Daniel Clowes, he gets 2 plugs in this film. Unfortunately, a lot of that gets diluted from some very immature, raunchy gags. To emphasize how raunchy it is, take a look at the DVD. Yeah, it's Monkeybone's bunghole. Classy. You know, Brendan Fraser's butt gets so much screen time you wonder if it got credit in the film. So it brings me to great displeasure to say that this film could have worked really well. That this could have been the swan song to lowbrow comics movies, if that's actually a genre. It could have worked if they focused on making it less raunchy and getting the story across so that you can appreciate the twisted imagery. I even think Henry Selick, the director of the film, realized that. If you watch his latest film Coraline, you will find a Monkeybone Easter egg. So for the first time on the Cartoon Palooza, I'm going to have to give a movie 2 ratings. One for one audience and one for the other. If you're into lowbrow comics and like the funky visuals and cartoon gags and live action films enough to get you the convoluted stories, then it's worth it. Those of you who hate the nonsense, mean-spirited gags and over-the-top raunchy factor, then forget about it. Now please, could you leave me alone, Monkeybone? Yeah, go away. Well, I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P and thanks for watching.
In